Hey, Varians. Let's take a look at this 5-minute chat on a couple of words there: distance, eternal, and everlasting. We will try to figure out what that means. All right, in the grayed out box there, Noah's covenant with Elohim, Genesis 9:12, we see it's written in the ancient Hebrew, and the bow will exist in the cloud, and I will see her to remember the covenant of a distant time that is between Elohim and all living souls with all the flesh which is upon the land. This is Genesis 9:16. But the words that we are starting this whole discussion is with the understanding that the word olam, which is what we are looking at as distant. And so the definition, a far off place as hidden beyond the horizon, a far off time as hidden from the present, the distant past or future, a place or time that cannot be perceived. So that's the real understanding behind it. So in Genesis 9:12, which where we start this whole exercise is, Elohim said, "This is the sign of the covenant which I am making between me and you and every living creature that is with you for everlasting generation." That's the word. If you look at the Greek version, and Adonai Elohim said to Noah, "This is the sign of the covenant which I execute between me and you and between every soul living, as many as are with you for generation eternal." So that is more familiar with us because we see the word eternal in much of our Bibles. Now in Genesis 13:15, we are talking about Abraham's covenant, and this is about the land. And so in the answer that God gave to Abraham, "For all the land which you see, I shall give it to you and to your descendants until forever." And if you take the Greek word there, "and all the land which you see, to you I shall give it, and to your seed unto the eon," which is forever. And the following verse, which is 17:7, where we see the same expression again, everlasting, "And I will make my covenant rise between me and you and your seed after you to their generations for a covenant of a distant time, to exist for you, for Elohim, and for your seed after you." So I'm using these words interchangeably. So there's distant time, there's everlasting, there's forever. So these are words that I use interchangeably so we can get to understand what it all means to God as he gives a covenant. Sometimes in this instance, it's the naming of God. And so let's see how Abraham says, "And Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba, and there he called on the name of Jehovah, the eternal God." So you can see that he can be also referred to as an eternal God, God himself being referred to in this name. Now, a very interesting account here is how Israel added Joseph's son to his own, citing the blessings that he had got from God for the reason he is doing it. So look at verse 4 of chapter 48. "And he said to me," this is Israel speaking about God telling him, "Behold, I shall make you fruitful, and I shall multiply you, and I shall make you a company of peoples, and shall give this land to your descendants after you for an everlasting possession." And it continues in verse 5 by telling us what he did. "Now your two sons who were born to you in the land of Egypt, before I came to you in Egypt, are mine. They are Ephraim and Manasseh. Like Reuben and Simeon shall be mine." And we capture it in the early ancient Hebrew account. "And he said to me, Here am I, making you reproduce, and I'll make you increase, and I'll give you for an assembled flock of people, and I'll give this land to your seed after you, holdings for a distant time. So this is very, very interesting. And finally, we see the blessing that Israel gives Joseph, the favored son. In verse 49, in verse 26 of chapter 49, the blessings of your father have surpassed the blessings of my ancestors up to the utmost bound of the everlasting hills. That's how he refers it to. May they be on the head of Joseph and on the crown of the head of the one distinguished among his brothers. So that's how we end today, Joseph's blessing. And there'll be a lot more because it says there in the grayed out area, Israel was one who stole Esau's blessing. So it's an important activity, this blessing activity. So thank you for listening on. I'll stop this here.